Hello and welcome to this edition of Woman to Woman. I am your host, Anntricia Bray Smith, author, educator, and public speaker. I am the voice for those who suffer in silence, guys. It is indeed a blessing to be here with you as we're starting off, kicking off, initiating season 2 of the Woman to Woman broadcast. And guys, it is uh, no short of what I expected our 2021 to be. I mean, 2021 has came in like a flood. Guys, I can tell you that it has definitely going to be one of those encores of 2020. It's not letting up, guys. It is not letting up. So, our topic today is going to be applied pressure. Applied pressure. We're going to talk about it today because I'm dealing with some things, and I know that when I deal with things and I'm faced with things in my life, I know that you guys are too. We're real women with real issues in real time. And so it helps to talk about these things. And so today we're talking about applied pressure. What does that look like and what does it do to us? And I can say already we're a few days into 2021, still staying focused on the goals, still establishing healthier habits, healthier spending habits, still trying to protect that mental space in our mind, still trying to keep the family dynamics together, still trying to deal with the emotional blows of losing people, of sickness and disease that were unexpected due to the pandemic, and also just some side effects of what occurs when you're impacted with such a virus like we're dealing with in our society. We think that things go back to normal, but many times what we find, especially for our loved ones that survive the virus that is impacting our nation, for those that survived, many of them, especially when they had severe symptoms or severe enough symptoms that it impacted their taste or smell and uh, sucked the energy out of them, what we find is that many of them don't just get back to normal overnight. There are still some side effects, some adverse reactions of what they're dealing with. And it takes a little while to build up that system to get your energy back. And so it takes good nutrition. It takes being educated on what to do to get your strength back. But not only that, how do you overcome when it's done damage to your organs, when it's your kidneys, when it's your heart, when it's your um, liver, your lungs, when it's done the damage already? How do you overcome that? How do you kick back and get that strength and that you need? How do you get all of that back? So anyway, we're here today. We're going to just discuss it, applied pressure, because many of us, like I said in the last episode of season 1, many of us thought that 2021 was going to come and bring with it some magical formula and that all our problems were going to disappear. We were all of a sudden going to uh, get some relief from the things that we deal with. But what we have found is that uh, relief is not as close as we think. Many of us were still dealing with the financial impacts that were brought on by 2020. Many of us are still dealing with uh, the family dynamics that has been tarnished one way or another in 2020. Many of us are still trying to grieve and come to terms with how losing that loved one has changed our lives forever. And so we try to find some kind of common ground. We try to find some kind of normalcy in the brink of everything. And if you're like me, on top of everything that was already transpiring in my life, other things still begin to impact our psyche. There are still people connected to us that bring along their baggage. There are still people that think we owe them something. There are still our children that's trying to figure out their lives in the midst of all this chaos that impacts how we make our next move. We still have the spouses that we still have to tend to, and still have to make sure that we keep that relationship healthy, because believe it or not, in spite of everything that goes on, that marital relationship, 9 times out of 10, is going to be the most strained. Because when you have the dynamics of the finances, and you have the dynamics of the children, and when you add the dynamics of the career, and you add the dynamics of all this other stuff that is coming against you, it directly impacts the marriage. It directly impacts how the spouses interact with one another. And so it's just applied pressure. It's that pressure that uh, builds and develops the relationship, or it breaks it and tears it down. And so these are the directions and the things that we have to begin to look at. Where do we go from here when the pressure is applied so heavy upon top of already the pressures that you were already trying to come to terms with? What do you do? And so it's not a magic formula. This is not a book we can go out and read, and and it has some kind of magic formula created in there that we can just follow those steps and it's going to magically be better. We're going to wake up and automatically be okay. Well, I can tell you sitting here today that I'm dealing with some stuff in real time. And in this real time, I can tell you in the past 24 hours, I have stopped breathing twice. I have literally stopped breathing twice in the past 24 hours. It is that subconscious mind, that spirit, that mind in me that awoke at that time and had to tell my body to breathe. So when you take for granted that you got this and you can do this on your own, and that you're just going through life not really understanding how the pressures imposed on you impact your body in such a way that it takes your spirit man to stand up in you and to tell that physical man to breathe, I can tell you right now, it is no joking matter. I can tell you that if you're not already rooted and grounded, if you haven't already done the work, then now is a sure time for you to start. See, the thing about me, a pressure is applied, it impacts my psyche. I'm frustrated, I'm crying, I'm emotional, I'm going through all these things that are coming against me. But one thing I don't do is I don't feel sorry for myself. I don't owe anyone anything. If what I do for you, you're not satisfied with that, or you have a problem with that, go get your life. Go do whatever it is that makes you happy. I'm not going to be so emotionally distraught that I'm going to down myself, or I'm going to minimize and not be considerate of me. That's one of the first things I have to do. So emotionally, I feel like that even though pressure is being applied, I am still, I still have enough strength to protect my emotional space. I still have the strength to build up in that spirit man And the spirit man has been conditioned to the point that it can command that physical body that doesn't want to do, that doesn't want to get out of bed, that doesn't want to breathe, that wants to just lay around and do nothing and waste away. It can command at that point that that physical body do what it is designed and created to do, and that's breathe. That's to get up and move in spite of. That's to keep pressing and keep fighting through whatever it is that is going on the outside, and not to let it infiltrate the inside. See, many of us, we do the work on the outside. I've said that before. We do the outside work. We want this physical thing to look just right. We want this physical thing to be presented in a way that we have it all together. And we neglect that inner man. But I'm here to tell you that when pressure is applied so heavy on your life, it's not these physical ailments that's going to be able to pull you through. It's that inner man. It's the strengthening of that inner man through the protection of that inner space that's going to help pull you and develop you and get you to the point that you need to be. See, it would be easy for me to say that I'm not going to show up today. Everything that has transpired, here it is midday, everything has transpired, and here it is. I can think of a million reasons why not to show up. But do you know, for every reason I have for not showing up and not doing what I say that I'm going to do in 2021, I have a million more reasons to get up and show up and give it my best. Because when the pressure is applied, and that applied pressure weighs so heavy, if I get up and I press through and I give it all I got, that's telling that opposition, that's telling that enemy, that's telling those that are against me, that's telling those that would desire for me to stop, that's telling them that you better watch out. Because for every step I take, I don't care how small the step is, every time I show up, I don't care how I show up, I'm getting just a little bit stronger. I'm getting a little bit better. I'm getting a little bit wiser. So there is no stopping me. If I tell you, if the past year hadn't taught me anything but to continue to show up and fight back, especially when life is dealing me things that aren't fair, because let's just be honest, many of the things that we women are dealing with today, it's not fair. We're living right. We're doing right. We're being right by people. We're giving all we have. We're even considering ourselves in the process. So many of the things that we're up against, it's not fair. It's not fair when the kids want to act right. It's not fair when uh, family and friends are turning against you. It's not fair when the biggest supporters that the closest people around you should be your biggest supporters, but then you can't find a encouraging word. It's not fair when everything that is around you is after your finances and draining you. It's not fair when you can't seem to get ahead in your career. It's not fair. The pressure is heavy. And this is just not the pressure of our own life. This is applied pressure from other people, other dynamics, other resources that we have no control over. And not only on this physical body, but also on the emotional and the spiritual complacencies of our being. So we have to get up. We have to keep fighting. We have to keep pressing through. We have to keep showing up. We have to keep putting one foot in front of the other, because that is where we develop. That is where we gain our strength. And this is where we break down barriers. I don't get to say, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it next week. Oh, my business will stand up regardless. People will still want what I have. People will still buy from me. I don't get to go missing in action months at a time. If I tell you that I'm going to show up every week, then guess what? Every week I need to be showing up. If people are dependent on my business, my products, my services, then I need to make sure it's there. People need to know me. They need to like me. They need to trust me. They need to know what I'm about. They need to know that my brand is consistent. As a spouse, my husband needs to know that he can trust me. Know that I'm there. Know that he can depend on me, even through the toughest times, even when I don't feel like it, even when we're not getting along our best. He needs to know that. He needs to know that he's appreciated. My children need to know that their mom is going to be there to support them through everything, and that she has their best interests at heart. What happens when the applied pressure comes against everything that you value? I know that they said in the last days, that these things would be so. Mothers against their daughters, fathers against sons, and things of that nature. I could never in my mind think of what could be so bad, so horrible, that I would turn against my own seed. I could never fathom that. But what I've never considered is how the enemy can take a young, impressionable mind and turn that very seed of yours against you. That could cause you some more emotional applied pressure that maybe you were not necessarily prepared for. Maybe it catches you off guard. Maybe you don't understand how they're going the direction that they're going. But still, you are the woman. You are the one who is destined and created for such a time as this. All you have to do is hold on. All you have to do is show up. All you have to do is continue to put one foot in front of the other. Oh, I know the applied pressure, it's hard. It's easier to handle the things that we bring up on ourselves. It's easier to handle the situations that we created ourselves. It's a little more difficult to think about when the applied pressure comes from that outside source and it blindsides us. And when we find ourselves in a space where our inner man is having to tell that physical man to breathe, then and only then we know that we have something fighting for us that is beyond our natural understanding. So, woman to woman, I understand. I understand that you thought 2021 was going to start off on a clean slate. You thought that the issues that you were dealing with were going to magically disappear. You thought that the dynamics of your family would be different. However, if you haven't done the mental work, if you haven't done the physical work, if you haven't done the financial work, if you haven't done the relationship work, things are not going to be different. There is no magic formula. There is no magic switch. Each day we have to move past the pressure. We have to get a little stronger. We have to develop our minds. We have to protect our minds, protect our sacred space. Because I can guarantee you, the more you think that you're given, the more that you do give, the more people you try to help, the more changes that you try to help other people reach, the more that is going to come against you. People are not happy to see you making a difference. People are not happy to see you living your best life. You can do those things, but it's going to come with a price. And much of that price I'm finding is that it's just going to create more applied pressure on you. So as you think about the pressures that are imposed and applied upon you right now, have you really counted up the cost? Have you really counted up what it's going to cost you to make it through another trying year? So what if we're going to be able to travel? So what if we're going to be able to come together and be able to be in the same space again and be able to get out and do and enjoy life, traveling and shopping and all those things that we love to do? What difference is that going to make when we haven't done the first work? And that's protect ourselves, protect our space, get that spirit man built up. Because we cannot continue to pretend and continue to wear the mask and dress up this outside and suffer in the silence of our pains and suffer in the silence of not really realizing the impact that we're imposing upon our own lives, the pressures that we're imposing upon ourselves, and neglecting to prepare ourselves for the unexpected. So, yes, I tell you what, we're in for the long haul. We're in it to keep striving. And woman to woman, I want you to know that I am here for you. We're going to do this thing. We're going to do it. And if it takes us bonding together, holding hands, pressing through, crying through, giving a voice to whatever it is that we're dealing with, applied pressure, bring it on. 2021, bring it on. Woman to woman, we got this. I appreciate you guys joining me today for this topic, applied pressure. Nonetheless, until next time, I am your host, Anntricia Bray Smith, author, educator, and public speaker. I am the voice for those who suffer in silence.